Hi guys, some of you may remember me, but I might be new to some of you, so I'm just going to introduce myself really quick. My name is Camila Sanchez, and I was Park Pride's community building intern this summer. Before I get into my presentation, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm now a junior at Georgia Tech, and I'm studying civil and environmental engineering. I met Park Pride through Georgia Tech's Serve, Learn, Sustain program, and so far it's been an amazing experience. This summer at Park Pride, my job was to assist the community building team, including Ellen, Cecilia, and Tori in conducting this year's Friends of the Park survey. Today's presentation is going to be a short slideshow of some of the data I gathered and how it's relevant to Park Pride as well as other Friends of the Park Pride groups. If you don't see some of the questions we asked on the slideshow, don't worry about it. All pieces of the survey are important to Park Pride, and they're going to be used to help us in the future, even if you don't see them on this PowerPoint. Based on the data I gathered by late June, we have surveyed at least 22 Friends of the Park groups, with 10 being in DeKalb, 9 being in Atlanta, 2 being in Tucker, and 1 being in Brookhaven. One of the questions we asked involved group activities. And so what we did is we split group activities into 5 groups: maintenance, capital improvements, advocacy and civic engagement, park activation, and fundraising. You can see here that most parks did most, if not all, activities, with a few groups having some variations in events and civic engagement. This next slide talks a little bit about how some of the parks we interviewed felt that they had impacted their community. Overall, most park groups we met with felt that they had had a positive impact, especially during the busier, earlier COVID times. Some parks felt that they had really transformed the area, which is incredible. As you can see, COVID has a great impact when it came to park priorities. It has shown an increased need for parking, waste bins, and maintenance. This was because of parks acting as a sort of safe haven among these groups and bringing in more attention to these parks in the last year. On the other end, COVID has really slowed down or even stopped projects from happening or finishing. And it's been really difficult for these existing projects to finish. This next slide talks about how groups feel about in-person events. I would like to preface this by saying that Park Pride is not pressuring anyone or any group at all to hold in-person events. This question is more for us to understand how certain groups felt about in-person events. As you can see, many groups have held at least one event, and some are planning on holding events that haven't happened yet, while a good portion of groups are not quite ready to hold events, which is perfectly okay. Switching gears, Park Pride was interested in knowing how many of our friends groups interacted with or knew at least one other person from other friends groups. We would like to know how our friends group interacts and if we could possibly facilitate more of these interactions. As you can see, 18 of 22 groups surveyed have had at least one connection. And of those 18, 14 of them felt as though their connection impacted the work within their own friends group. Here are some examples of how some groups were impacted. For the most part, groups only benefit from having these connections. Many feel it is beneficial to be able to talk to and discuss problems within their parks. And it may lead to other parks implementing possible solutions for similar problems. And here are some ways that groups believe we as Park Pride can help them achieve their goals. I won't go super in depth, however, I will talk about the main points that we discovered groups would like more help with. We've discovered that groups want a lot of help with community engagement, as in some areas, it has been found that it is very difficult to get the neighborhood to interact with and participate in events or volunteer days involving the park. Community engagement is extremely important to Park Pride, and we are always working on improving community engagement. And we will always continue to hold workshops to assist and provide resources for these issues. As always, communication is key. Secondly, many parks feel the need for more physical support, such as tools, manpowers, or just techniques. Things like invasives are always causing major problems within the parks. And it is something that Park Pride is willing to provide resources and possible tools for solving issues like this. We also have a volunteer support program that was put on hold for COVID, but we are also in the process of starting back up. Additionally, while we are not using our own tool bank, we will connect you with a tool bank that may assist you in any of the tools you need while we try to get our personal tool bank up and running. Lastly, we have realized that some parks seem to have reached most of their priorities and goals and would like to help other parks that may not have the resources or the support that they need. These larger parks would like to donate resources and possibly host fundraisers for these smaller parks. This is something we're currently looking into, as we think this would be super beneficial for some parks. Please let us know if this is something that you'd be interested in facilitating or joining. And as always, thank you so much to all of our supporters, and thank you for letting me take the time to survey all of you that I could survey. Please don't be afraid to ask me questions or ask the Park Pride team any questions if you need clarification on anything.